Hi, guys. Welcome to Once in a Wyld, where every once in a while we have meaningful conversations with meaningful people. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. Okay, so today we are talking with Brianne. I never
Yes,
say like your whole name like that. That's weird to me. I only say B. Does everyone
I
call
hear
you
you.
B?
They do. I mean, it started at like middle school. It was nobody, I grew up in California, so it was
Oh,
Brianna. My name is Brianne, the way it's spelled, everything. So people never got it right. So it quickly went to Bree,
got you.
and now it's B.
I love that. That's awesome. So you already jumped into what I was going to ask you about is first thing I was going to say, is good really your last name?
It for
Is
real is
that
my
for
last
real?
name.
That's
I
crazy.
got so lucky.
What was your maiden name?
So
You
Italian
don't have to share
immigrants,
that, but
Alfrey.
oh,
It used
okay.
to be Alfietti. They shortened it to make it easier, but that never went well. So having a last name and a first name that people can't pronounce,
Yeah,
I was lucky to get good. I'm like, yes.
that's amazing. So, for anyone who doesn't know you, give me just some like basic demographics of like where do you live now? Where do you work now? Where are you located? And were you born and raised there? Where were you born and raised? Give me the spiel of where you've been and like where you are now.
So I actually am in St. Louis, Missouri, in a suburb just west of St. Louis. I actually opened up a new studio at home, like you, which has
Oh,
been awesome.
yay.
It's in St. Charles, so I'm right around there. But I was born and raised in California. I
Nice.
moved to Missouri when I was 16
Wow.
and had all the intentions to move back. But another fun piece is I married my high school sweetheart.
So
So
cute.
I had to stay.
That's cool. So he lived in Missouri
Yeah,
and you came from
we met in high
California.
school.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What moved you guys from California to Missouri? That's an interesting move.
My dad's job.
Okay, just for work.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so
I'm
cool.
glad I did because it's definitely part of my journey, but I do miss home.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Okay, cool. And you're working in your home studio now. That's very exciting. One of the big questions that sometimes people don't want to answer on podcasts is, are you taking new clients? Are
Oh,
your books I
absolutely.
mean, some people are not and
Yeah.
so don't want to answer. So,
No, and honestly, like my books will never be closed
yeah.
because my area is such an underserviced area or people are trying to learn the skill.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I kind of need to be
You got
here,
to be
which
open.
is
Yeah.
why I started to do all this. And so my books will never be closed,
Yeah.
unless I have
Never say
reason
never.
to. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
As best as I possibly can, I will always try to help guide somebody or do it myself because I've been there and I've been to be that desperate person and I needed somebody. So I will
Yeah.
try my best not to do that.
Yeah. So, who is around you? What is the saturation like in your area?
I
Or are
mean, that
you like
kind of you and
alone?
I, well, you were my mentor from the beginning. So you know there I live in an area close to a few other states, but everybody's
Right.
pretty spread out. With one person really in my area and a
Yeah.
few other people that are trying to learn the skill.
Yeah. Okay.
So
How far away, how far apart is the next loctician? Are we talking hours?
So Bramble Root is who I go to.
Yeah.
She's in the city and she's about 30 minutes from me.
Okay.
But then we have locticians in Illinois and they're about like 2 hours away.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it's an underserved area, which
Yeah.
is what propelled me to do this to begin with.
You are like probably busy as all get out because you're in an underserved area.
I am, and also work-life balance. I had a different type of work and I learned what that cutoff looks like for me. So my books are full for me,
Hmm.
may not be for the average person, but it's the perfect balance for me.
Yeah. And this is strictly the only thing you do. You don't work any other job. You are doing this full time.
In being a mom
And being a
and a
mom.
wife.
Right. We just leave that. We just leave that out. It's not a job. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yes,
Cool. Cool. Cool.
this is my main focus for sure.
Okay. And a little bit about how we met. We found each other on the internet, right? The
Yeah.
good old fashioned internet. And then I was doing a little program, like invitational thing, where I was opening myself up to talk with locticians about things they want to know or questions they had, or I don't know, just how can I help, people out there? Because I felt like I was just like sitting on a lot of information or maybe tips and tricks, and you ended up jumping on one of those sessions, and then we ended up talking for way longer than we were supposed to.
Absolutely.
Um, and we've just been friends since then and like hyping each other up and watching each other do things. It's been so cool to watch you from where you started to now. Like every single time I see your post, I'm like, okay, she just added that. Oh, that's so cool. I just see so
Aw,
just
thanks.
click. So it's cool to see that from the outside and give that feedback. But that's a little bit about how we met. I want to dive right in. I have so many questions for you. So
Yay.
my first question is about I really want to know about this journey from you starting out in the medical field to doing dreads now. That is a very interesting shift. So, can you tell us and whoever's listening about what that was like? What made you decide to make that change? And what is the arc there? Because people sometimes go like the other way. And so, seeing
Yeah,
you come that
absolutely.
way is, I'm very intrigued about that.
So there's always like a short answer and then there's a
I
long
don't want the short
answer.
answer, I want the long answer.
I feel like, we all grew up a certain type of way. And I always was made to feel that my validation came through taking care of other people and like pouring my cup into others. And that's just how I was raised. So naturally, the medical field, I have a natural want to help others. And I really enjoyed doing it. However, being in your early 20s and realizing I was a respiratory therapist. So
Mm,
I dealt with end of life and all of that. It's pretty heavy. And I feel like everybody almost has an expiration date on what one could take in that capacity.
yeah.
And mine was a bit over 10 years. And throughout this whole journey, I feel like I was two people.
Mm,
You know what I mean? My parents didn't want me to be that free spirit. So it perpetuated me into, okay, how can I be validated? I need to get this validating job, which, like I said, I'm super thankful I had those years and I grew a lot from it, but I was done. And that all came to a head when the pandemic happened.
okay.
And my husband is a firefighter, and
Mm,
both of us couldn't be in emergency medicine. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So, um, like, scoot back a little bit before I actually put my 2 weeks in, and the whole world shut down the day I was supposed to have my first day off, like my first day off
Whoa.
by myself. So I feel like everything happened for a
That's
reason. And
wild.
that's how this whole journey has been. It's just been like one thing after the other. It's like, you have to do this. You have to keep doing this. And once life settled down and I wasn't around all the negative
Yeah.
energy or what I thought I could potentially take home, locking my hair,
Yeah.
it's the first thing that popped into my
Mm,
brain. I was like, I got to do this.
wow.
And so that's where
That's
it was.
interesting.
And then once I did my own hair, I had a hard time finding someone here. I didn't quickly find
Mm,
the one gal that I go to now. So I was actually getting some of my dreads done in California,
whoa.
flying back and
I
forth through
didn't
the
know
pandemic
that.
because the flights were cheap. Yeah, I met a gal in, her name was Christy,
Yeah.
in a park in Mile High Park in Fountain Valley, California.
That's amazing. That is some
And then,
hippie
yeah,
shit right there.
I know, right? During the pandemic with everything shut,
That's
we're
awesome.
just sitting there chatting away.
That's awesome.
But I feel like I wasn't one that could fully jump in. I have like sensory issues and
Okay.
I have commitment issues for sure. I went to cosmetology school. So, like,
Yeah.
I've had all the things done. And the thought of me not being able to change this was like daunting. But I did row by row and found this is where I needed to be. And I needed to help others in that capacity too.
Mm.
So, it's been super
I
rewarding. And
love
I
the row
feel
by row
like
method.
it was dumb, but
No, I think it's
everybody has to
great.
learn.
I think it's fantastic, and I push it on people all the time. If people have a bunch of questions or they're not sure, I'm like, just go row by row. Like you will find your sweet spot.
Should have
And
just trusted myself.
yeah, exactly. And so many people are like, "Was that cheating? We should go all the way." And I'm like,
No.
"No, dude, like just take your time and then you get to
Yeah,
enjoy like all these different looks along the way. So why not?"
that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
I think row by row is great. Some intuition within you knew what you were doing. That's so
It was a whole
interesting.
growing process, learning some patience in which
Yeah.
I did not have. Now I have a little bit more, just a little bit.
So before you left the medical field, did you have to work in the medical industry during COVID or did you jump out right before?
So I did medical sales the last
Okay.
year. So yes and no. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like it was tapering
Wow.
off and with what medical sales I did, I just felt I was doing breathing machines. So like I did not want to be in the pandemic and
Wow.
profiting off of that.
I
So
know. Oh my
I
gosh.
was very thankful just to just be done.
Do you feel like you would have like medically, not like mentally survived the pandemic if you had stayed in? Or would you
I
just
barely mentally survived before I mean, because
wow.
let's be real, a lot of things were, I'm not trying to take like, oh, I worked a pandemic like COVID,
Sure.
but the little ones that we did have before
Yeah.
that, H1N1 and
Right.
like some of the crazy thing, like it was enough to be like,
Yeah.
I didn't feel safe. I wouldn't have felt safe coming home. And
Mm.
how am I supposed to mother my two kids and be a wife to my
Right.
husband?
Right.
For me, I just knew it was not. And my husband was working it as well. So
Right.
who was going to be
Both
home raising our
frontline
kids?
workers.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We have that in common because my background is I did go to nursing school before I entered the dread industry. And I was doing like
Nice.
my first round of clinicals and someone passed away in a code. And I was like, nope, can't do
Not
that.
for you.
Can't do that. I don't know. It's not my aversion to death or anything like that. It was just something about the way that it was handled behind the scenes and like the bureaucracy after it and just something about it just did not sit right with me. I had other life stuff going on too, but I was just like, this is not it. And I had been raised the same way as you, like definitely that caretaker role. And this is the
Yeah.
great thing to do. And it was at the time I was graduating, it was advertised as a wonderful position to have.
Right.
And yeah, not for me. And I
Yeah.
only
I
had
know.
like a
I hear you on that.
couple tiny classes or like little things to go through before I graduated. And my parents lost their marbles when I told them I was
Yeah. I
not going to
bet.
finish.
I bet.
So I'm glad you made it farther than me. And you said you put in like over a decade, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
amazing. Wow. That's incredible. Another thing you said that was interesting is you said something about once you weren't around like that bad energy, like the first thing you wanted to do was lock your hair. So do you feel like you were specifically waiting to do that until you were away from that? Or do you feel like you wouldn't have gone for it until you were out? Like it didn't occur to you until then, or were you specifically waiting?
So I think it was even further before then. It was always like, that's a growing up in beach culture
That's
with
right.
my own
Yeah.
family and who we surrounded ourselves with. It was kind of put into a box. It was like, oh, that's dirty, all the reasons. Like you can never have that. You're too pretty to have that. So
Yes.
even at a young age, it was put into a box and put onto a shelf, and I didn't know when was I going to open it back up, and
Yeah.
it popped open as soon as my mind cleared and I was away from it. It was like, "Hey, you need dreads." And I'm like, "You know what? I do."
Absolutely. What did your parents have to say about that when you finally locked in your hair?
You know what? They don't understand. Like they're on like one highway and I'm on the other. And occasionally they intersect, but pretty much we just stay parallel. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I
It's
like
best
that
that way.
parallel.
Yeah, no real opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's better because I hear a lot of people really take their parents' opinion seriously. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter if somebody's young or they're in their 50s or 60s. It's still that parents can really cut you deep with what they think about your hair. And I think it's just not to sound like a kid, but that older generations don't get it.
No, and that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah. It's
Because
fine.
I mean, honestly, we do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had to learn a long time ago. I kind of really don't give a shit what other
Yeah.
people think.
Exactly.
I
And
really
that's the beauty
mean
of
that in the most
dreads. Yes.
sincerity
Yeah.
way, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Good for you. What do you feel like from your time in the medical field has transferred over to help you being a loctician? Do you feel like you use
I
all
mean,
those skills?
I think I'm just a natural, empathetic, compassionate, intuitive person. So that caretaker role, I
Mm,
mean, I want my clients to sit in my chair and feel like, they're safe there. They can say what they need to say because I am of one person. I can definitely have a different opinion than you,
mhm.
but I can still hear you out.
Yeah,
And I may
I love
even
that.
pick up some knowledge along the side of that
Mm,
might make me think my own opinion on, you know what I mean?
I love
So
that.
I feel like the listening skills are there, which I give to my clients. And yeah, I feel like that kind
Cool.
of maybe helped me form that.
Yeah. I feel like my time, even though I never fully stepped into the industry, the medical field, or anything like that, I feel like the things I did learn helped me so much just about basic sanitation and
Oh,
things like
yeah,
that, and skin issues you may encounter.
sure.
I find myself helping a lot of people. I probably shouldn't say this because I'm not giving anyone medical advice or anything like that by any means, but I find myself being able to give a lot of information about what's going on in their body that's being reflected in their
Yeah.
hair that
Yeah.
you probably do that without even knowing it. That
Probably.
I've literally had clients where there's something going on with their hair and I'm like, "Hey, you need to go get like a metabolic panel done. We need to check these." And then I've
Yes, I've
literally
been
had
there.
clients find out that they have cancer and things like that because I've been like,
Ooh,
Something's going
something's
on with
off.
your body. It's
Yeah.
not just your hair, but your hair reflects it first." So I bet there's a lot of
Yeah.
that you do without even knowing it, medical
Yes,
wise.
ma'am.
And also just, I don't know, they drill it into you and that stuff, like you sanitize when you come in the room and stuff like that. And
Oh,
I just think little
absolutely.
things like that give an edge. Another interesting piece about the medical field being tied in is that I don't know about you, but my highest demographic of people that I serve is educators, medical field, cosmetologists, and then everything else. Those are the top 3 I find, at least in my state, that I'm servicing in terms of people's jobs. And I've always found that very interesting. Do you notice that?
I mean, I would say like public service in general. I
Okay.
couldn't say like one profession or the other, but like, I have teachers,
A lot of
cosmetologists
teachers.
as well, a lot of like I have police
Yeah.
officers. Um, yeah, I kind of have people all across the board. I don't know that I could put everybody
Mm.
in one little
Those are the
sector.
top 3 I've noticed over time. And I don't think people realize how many different like walks of life get dreads.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah,
many
and for
different types of
all
people.
different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about just your trajectory as a loctician. Like, where did you start? Where have you been? Where have you gone? What's that arc now that you're in this career from start to now?
Well, I think my main goal, like dreadlocks are interesting, right? Like we have talked over the years of what space is going to fit me personally, and I've kind of bounced here and there and everywhere. So my main goal was to like test this out. Is this going to be a thing? And it is. So getting my own space, which I have now, and just enjoying that and working out of that and just kind of be fluid with it. Like I don't know I want to just concentrate on doing just the dreadlocks and doing the best that I can with that.
Yeah.
And then I do have a cosmetology license. So there are other avenues of things that I'm kind of
Nice.
seeing
Yeah.
that I might want to blend the two services together.
Yeah.
Um, but just taking care of things, like I said, trying to keep my books open and just growing, just
Rhythms of
keep
it.
getting it.
So you
Yeah.
started with, because
For,
this will be your home location is your third place that you've been, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So technically my fourth. So my first spot was in a holistic, like a holistic salon. They just didn't do hair. They did more massage, like sauna and stuff
Mm,
like that. And I was in the basement
nice.
in a very old home that was kind of hard getting in and out of.
Yeah.
And then shortly after being there, a salon that was a multicultural salon out in close by me reached out and said, "Hey, am having a hard time walking. I've seen this method. Do you want to work out here?" And I worked
That's
with her
so
for a
cool.
while. It just was a drive
Yeah.
from my house, and I have a young family. So that was just
Mhm.
the only thing. But while I was there, I picked up so many skills,
Yeah.
so much knowledge. And I'm thankful I was there for a while because the conversations weren't like me and you, it was us
Yeah.
in there. Cause like you can clearly see we're all locked, right?
Right.
Versus I
I
feel
like
like
that.
on the social media, it's separate.
Yeah.
So I was thankful to be there for that while, but home was calling and I had an opportunity that just presented itself with a space that was 10-minute walk from my house.
That's so cool.
Just in somebody else's hands. And she decided not to renew the lease and gave me 2 weeks to figure out what I was
Ah.
doing. So I had to go back to the other
Yeah.
salon and just figured out with the long appointments and the experience that I wanted to give my clients, I wanted to have full control of my space. And the best way to do that was to find something
Mm,
that I could have solely on my own, which was home.
that's so awesome. So do you love it? Do you love having your home space?
I mean, I love it because I don't know about all people, but you probably are going to have my kids come down and say, "Hey,"
Yeah.
and you're
Same.
probably going to see my husband because he'll bring me drinks or food or
Hmm.
ask if we all need anything. That might be bothersome to
I
some,
think
but
it's
that is
great.
truly what makes me happy.
Yeah.
When the four of us, we call ourselves the quad, we're happy. So if my clients can come in, and I'm super happy.
So before I move on to what I really want to talk to you about, real quick, could you touch on how do you feel, because you do have that cosmetology degree back there. How do you feel that plays a role in you being a loctician right now at all? It may not at all. Do you feel like it comes into that at all? And how?
Well, kind of like we were talking about in the medical field, there is a level of foundation that if you have not picked that up anywhere else throughout your
Yeah.
life, it does create a good foundation from a sanitary
Yeah.
standpoint. I do feel like learning hair, the hair textures,
Hmm.
densities, what they are, you do learn all that and cause. I think it benefits me.
Hmm.
I also can offer more services to my
Right.
clients that they don't have to go somewhere else, like bang trims, or if you want a little bit of color done, like whatever they may need. I feel like it's one encompassing, so it makes it easy for me. But do I think you could do this without it? Sure. You just need to
Yeah.
do your research and pick up all those skills. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. I've had, you don't have to come on this if you don't want to. I've had a lot of very interesting conversations with literally my client today is an educator for the state of Ohio on the cosmetology education board and everything. And I do his hair. And we had a long talk about this morning, and I have my own opinions. But do you feel, and this is not to offend anyone, okay? Do you feel like it is preferred and better for a loctician to have that cosmetology degree?
I mean, I think that's like an opinion for me not to have because I have one. You know what I
Sure,
mean? And I feel like they're like the University of YouTube. I mean, the
sure.
information is out there. So if you are going to be the type of person that's going to be a go-getter and I have to know the ins and the outs, then you can do it
Mm,
and you don't need it.
yeah,
But if you're just trying to make a quick buck and I want to be the next popular thing and I just want to be doing whatever's cool, then you probably need it because so it's
a
how
great
somebody
way to put
learns
it.
your self drive.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
me, it just was an easy plug in because I had it.
right.
Would I probably go search for it if I didn't? Well, absolutely not because it's 20,
Yeah,
however much it is in your
right.
state, and the information's out there if you're disciplined
And in
enough to find
addition
it.
to that, what we're finding in most states, and this is a whole ball of wax that we could get into, is that if you go and pursue that degree because you want it under your belt, they do not do any lock education,
No.
depending on where
No,
you go
I
to
did. I
school.
learned nothing but sectioning hair and the hair, like about the hair, sanity.
Mm,
There's no braiding.
yep,
And it all depends too, where do you go
where
to
you go to
school?
school. Yeah,
I didn't touch any textured hair in my schooling. So,
that's wild. That's so
yes,
wild.
I know.
I feel like if you made me personally, if you made me answer that question, I would say, when in doubt, I do think that we should have something like that because I feel like for people that do locks, Cosmo degree is almost too much because we're not getting
Yeah.
told. But what we have right now in a lot of the states is almost not enough. So I'm hoping to see some in between option materialize because, like you said, they are giving you those basics of sanitation, hair density, texture, just basic how to work with clients depending on what school you go to. And I feel a lot of us struggle a lot as locticians from people that I've talked to with not knowing that stuff and learning that stuff on the back end. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that me personally, I have learned on the back end through trial and error and failure and
Yeah.
crashing and burning that then
Same.
one of my beautician friends will be like, oh, yeah, we learned that in school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I think that's interesting. And that's a whole ball of wax that I'm very interested in digging into. But before I get ahead of myself, I want to talk the most about your exposure in working in a multicultural salon. That's what I want to know everything about because you're one of those interesting little unicorns out there that you have the Cosmo degree in your pocket, you're doing locks and you're killing it, and you worked in a multicultural salon. So, can you tell me more about like the exposure that you got when you were there and basically how does that inform you or how do you feel like that makes you different in this industry versus someone who has not had that experience?
I mean, I think that my experience from the beginning, it's like really hard for me to, well, I got to take a minute. They never really
Yeah.
treated me different
Yeah.
because I brought such like like you said, like the unicorn, like it's such a oh my gosh thing. Like they've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
So much to the fact of like the terminology is different. What
Right.
they call a crochet is a latch
I
hook.
know.
And when they say, girl, you crochet, and I'm like, no, this is what I crochet with. I mean, it just blew their mind.
Wow.
And like I said, the salon that I was in was, I never got any ill commentary or anything. They all just looked in awe and like, what are you doing, girl? And
Wow.
support. And I couldn't really have anything negative to say about it.
Yeah.
Even the other people that worked with me, I mean, obviously it's a skill that they wanted to learn as well because it's kind of like magic when you're doing it and you've only seen it a handful of times. So yeah, it was like a old school beauty shop type of situation,
That's
and
so
our
cool.
clients would just be back and forth like, "Yeah, girl, your hair looks great," or
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, you look so much different when you walk in," just because they don't normally see that with our hair
Yeah.
texture.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of, wow, you guys are getting what we've always had, or vice versa.
And
And I've had
did
a
you
lot of
feel
love.
that same sense of awe watching like their literal hair art that you hadn't been
I
exposed
did.
to?
And also, I feel like there's a lot of disconnect between the two.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things they've been doing forever
Yes.
that we are just now being like, oh, it's a sew in weft.
I
And it's
know.
like, they've been doing that
I
forever,
know.
And it's like, what the hell? Like,
Yes,
we
I
do not
know.
come up with a lot. Do we make things look different and
And
fabulous to our
apply
own
them
aesthetic?
differently. Yeah.
For sure, but so much of the stuff is the same
Yes.
called something different. And
Yeah.
it's just, that was our main thing, was trying to figure out what each one was talking about
Right.
because they're the same thing.
I think I'm just so glad you said that because you have landed on like the core nugget where the problem rests. And it's such a complex thing that we're watching unfold. And I think people that have worked in diverse environments like that, like you, are just so important because I have been screaming at the top of my lungs for so long that so many of these disconnects, they rest on a terminology issue. They rest
Yeah.
on a terminology issue. Yeah, they rest on a terminology issue. And until we get that straightened out, there can't really be a conversation to be like, this is how we do this. And then the person that suffers the most is the consumer. Because when they message or call someone up and they're asking for XYZ, you have 5 minutes to try and tell that person, like, hey, I know you're saying this, but it's really this. I'm sure you've dealt with this the
Right.
same where maybe you'll have
Yep.
someone message in and they'll be like, I'm looking for a retwist. Okay, let's unpack that. Do you actually want to? Is that the service that you are familiar with? Would you like to switch to crochet? How much conversation and education do we need to have to get you to switch to crochet? What is crochet called traditionally for you and your family growing up? It's just, it all is this huge, massive thing that is sitting on this little toothpick of a terminology issue. And I feel
Right.
like if we can straighten that out, so much will follow with it. But this harkens back to what we were talking about. Terminology cannot be standardized without a governing body that standardizes it. And unfortunately, that governing body is completely split right
I
now.
hear you.
And so that's why I'm so curious about your time there and how that went. I'm happy to hear that it was all positive. Do you feel like you guys landed on more common terminology throughout your time there, or do you feel like it stayed in the same boxes?
I think it pretty much, that's the thing, is I feel the same exact way. It's just, how do you go about
Right.
making it all the same? Everybody still fell into their own.
What they would call it.
I I mean, they were more adaptable to like what I was doing just
Mhm.
because it was different, and they were trying to understand what
Yeah.
I was doing and how the processes were different. Because sometimes working at that salon, I provided all of those services.
Right.
I would interlock, I would retwist. So when those came in, typically I would have to say, what are you really looking for? Like, what
Right.
picture did you look at? Who did you talk to? Or are you truly wanting a retwist?
Right.
And then I set a personal goal of, I did everybody one lock, a crochet, showed them how amazing it was. Then I retwisted them,
Yeah.
and I tried to get them to convert within 2 times.
Yeah.
And I was successful every time. I don't have any more retwists because
That's so
everybody's
cool.
a
Okay,
crochet
so
now.
just tell if you had to make a commercial for retwist versus crochet, because I try and approach that topic with sensitivity because I know that retwist is preferred by some people. And I know that
Sure.
retwist maybe is culturally affirming for some people, the look and the end result.
Sure.
If you could make a case for the pros of crochet versus retwist, how would you pitch someone to make that switch?
Well, I mean, I think for me, it comes from just a very natural standpoint. You know, when you retwist, you're putting something synthetic in your hair. Yes, you can
Mm,
use cleaner products and all of that. And also, do you want your service to last longer? You
right,
know,
right,
when you're putting your hair in a retwist, it's just being held. When you're crocheting it, you're actually stitching all the way
right.
around. So it really falls into those two categories for me. And a lot of the issues with the retwist come from that tension pulling, those products getting stuck in their hair and
Hmm.
suffocating hair follicle, yada yada. And their locks become extremely thin. When they break, you can't barely repair
Yeah.
because the product is just stuck all the way down.
Hmm.
So by kind of teasing them or showing them what actually a crochet is, I can explain it all day. It literally, I think I would just take a video and be
It's
like,
best
the
to show.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Natural versus you pick your path. I think those diagrams of ones that's like just says everything, all the detail is better because
Yeah.
that's what I did. And that's how I
We should
transition
start
people.
working on like a, I don't know, like a PowerPoint or like a little book. These are what these tools are. These are what these tools are. But again, that's another thing I want to tread lightly on, because just because we call this XYZ doesn't mean that
Doesn't make it
our
right.
way should be the right.
Right.
But we do need to get our ducks in a row on either side of that camp, you know. And another thing I want to
Yep.
acknowledge whenever I'm having this discussion for anyone who's listening is that unfortunately, right now, the conversation that she and I are having is definitely falling along the lines of black hair and white hair, which is the colloquial terms that I usually try and unpack and say, okay, let's talk about what all that means. We are by no means forgetting all the variances that come between that. However, right
Absolutely.
now, at this time in history, there is that binary where it's very split into traditional salons and estheticians that are doing mostly European hair. And I think terminology is not only where all of that crumbles, but it's also where people can get very offended and things like that. So
Yeah.
I just like to say that we're not ignoring the entire spectrum of hair and all of that
No, absolutely
exists.
not.
And just because, hey, we call this crochet doesn't mean that's necessarily what it should be called. But until those two sides get pulled together, and we can talk more about that divide, there's a problem. There's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a problem. And I liked how you put it with pitching people from retwist to crochet. I'm always approaching that with such sensitivity, because I'm always like, I don't want to say that you should do this because maybe you like retwists. One of the big things that I found when converting people to crochet, if you will, is a little bit of sticker shock, because retwist is far less expensive, right? On average, what is someone paying for a retwist, numbers wise?
Probably like 90 to 100,
But a
I would
crochet
say.
session is cost much more than that typically. So sometimes when I'm pitching someone crochet, they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "The difference is you're going to get your retwist what every how often are people getting their retwists? There's such
Like 6 weeks,
6
6 to 8 weeks
weeks.
on a good 4 to 8
Yeah,
weeks. It
something like
depends.
that. But your crochet, you're getting like every couple months to like maybe a couple times
Right.
a year.
Yeah,
So you're
absolutely.
really saving money at the end of the day. So I think we're at a really pivotal time where we've seen crochet coming over, which originally, as far as I know, I'm sure someone will correct me, really started and became popular in the Congo and then started to pop over
Okay.
to the US. I hope if I'm wrong about that, someone corrects me, because I've been doing this long enough that I watched it hop over and then start to become more popular. I hope someone corrects me about that. And then it started to make its way into the hippie movement like early 2000s, you know, about then, which I'm not that old. I don't want it to sound like I'm that old, but I'm
I mean, I could be that old. I just haven't been here. I just haven't been around that long in the game.
So do you feel like you still desire to offer those types of services, or do you feel like your goal would be to push someone more towards crochet as much as possible?
I mean, honestly, I don't do any of that anymore. There's really no need for me to. I've seen that I don't like the effect. Like it's
Mm,
there, like I said, there's hair loss,
right.
their hairline can start
Hmm.
retracting. I've just seen the ill effects from it,
Hmm.
and I don't personally want to put my name behind it.
Sure.
You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? Obviously, I'll retwist if they have like a wedding and I just, on those occasions. But for the most part, I try to strictly just take crochet at
Mm,
this point.
yeah, I agree. Do you feel like there's any instance in which someone with straight hairs, curl, anything like that, would be appropriate that you would agree to do a retwist for them? I know it's a hot take because people get a little offended about that topic.
Retwisting 100% silky hair, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just taking a tiny bit of oil or a tiny bit of product and you have like my hair's out, but if you want your front of your face, yeah, go ahead and take a little bit of that oil, but just organic, you know.
Yeah, you don't want
I
synthetic
just say
products.
oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, no.
Yeah.
And just have it like for the night. Of course, I would say that, but I don't consider that a true retwist.
Got you. I agree with
It's
you.
just like a freshen up.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, can you dig a little bit deeper into kind of your opinions or your thoughts on the racial divide that does exist in the beauty industry? Because, like I said, you're one of those unicorns that gotten the chance to witness. So, what thoughts have you come away with that experience? What have you come away with in terms of the racial divide in the beauty industry, specifically related to locks, dreadlocks, and those types of services?
I mean, I honestly feel like there's just going to be a divide. You know what I mean? And I hope that those people, I feel like I'm still seen and heard by the people who want to be seen and heard by
Mm,
me, who are looking for that other opportunity or that other way to do something. I just don't see a fix.
yeah,
They have their own hair conventions, they have their own
right.
school, like we have very separate things and
Hmm.
we would have to blend all of that.
Yeah.
I feel like I if there's people like me that can go on
Mhm.
and learn from basically learning from one another.
Yeah.
If the format were just to be open and be like, come on in and feel
Mm.
comfortable going in and learning and vibing off of one another. I personally always find myself in those situations just because that's you know what I
Right.
mean? Like I kind of just like, hey, I'm here to learn.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Um, but until more people are like that, or, there's enough people saying that, I feel like they're just going to be separate. And I hope that we can see from afar and learn from each other
Mm.
until it comes to a
Right.
point where we can all, join.
Right. And I feel like I have all these qualifiers. I also respect if for some reason they wouldn't want us in that space. I'd be like,
And
okay.
that's why I respect the two parallels and I'm thankful that I get to intersect is
Yeah.
I guess the best way to put it. And I hope that there are more artists like us,
Yeah.
that are able to see both sides and vice versa. I hope they'd want to learn something from us too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because crochet is pretty magic.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's the linchpin for me on that topic is that crochet really is king. That really is true
it is.
because it's the one universal element that is the only thing that brings those two things together. So all the time, I'm sure you get messages, I get messages and phone calls of, do you do white hair? Do you do black hair? And I'm like, okay, first of all, let's unpack that. All those words, hold on. So that's usually my first stop. If I can get through them to have a longer conversation, you have to read the room and see it. But that's the thing about crochet is texture doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what
Right.
texture is sitting in front of you. And I just find that to be so powerful. I think
No,
that's so
absolutely.
important.
I always say I do all the hairs.
I do all the hairs. That's awesome. I
I do
like
all the
that.
hairs. I don't care what texture it is. I can do the hair.
What do you think about this combo that we're seeing between crochet and retwist combination service? I'm seeing a lot of that and it seems to be very popular. So people want the look of a wrist. My understanding, please correct me, anyone out there. My understanding is that they want the look of the retwist because that's what they're accustomed to of the crochet and they want it to be fully locked. So I'm seeing a lot of that service. I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
Like I said, I don't do the retwist. It's
You're not
just
into it.
nope, I won't. I'd rather interlock.
Okay.
I have placed it and pinned it up at the front, but I would almost rather interlock because let's be real, to achieve that look, you're leaving a very loose root.
Very much. Yeah.
And the minute water touches it, it looks like their
Your
hair wasn't
style
done
washes
for
out.
6 months.
Yeah.
I like to go for more of the permanent look,
Yeah.
not semi-permanent,
Yeah.
the more
I got you. Yeah.
long-standing look, I guess is what you should say.
So on that topic, is there any piece of advice that you would give to locticians that they could actively take part in order to You be a good steward of that divide and help heal that from their own perspective because you're just somebody, and I love this about you. You just jump in and you're like, I'm here. You're just so ready and open to do everything and you're just there ready to get into it. What advice would you give to others if they're trying to bridge that gap as a loctician?
I mean, because we talked for a while. Like, I think I was dreadlocking for how long before I took money and took
Mm,
my first client. And with that being said, I had all the textured hair dolls. I had Afro Kinky, I
right.
had the threes. So I bought all of those off of Amazon and
Okay.
learned all the methods. I mean, if you're going to be a loctician,
Yeah.
that doesn't say crochet loctician.
Mm,
If you're a loctician, you should at least know every single method that can be done,
mm.
in my opinion.
And
Do you need to
familiarize
be
yourself with
proficient
hair
at it?
textures. Yeah,
Yes, because when you have, I mean, that could be your next consultation. The one
exactly.
bit of information you think I don't need to know,
Yeah.
you might need to know it in your next consultation. So that's how I did it. Is I learned every single method I could get my hands on.
Mm.
Was I good at all of them? Absolutely not. Was I proficient? I could get it done.
You get
Some
through
of
it.
them I didn't want to take as much. Yeah, I could get through it, but some of them I guess I was more proud of than
Yeah,
others.
got you.
But I think if anybody calls themselves a loctician, you need to know more than just crochet.
I love that.
You need to have a foundation of understanding
I love that.
always.
I love that. Write it down, guys. Write it down. That's awesome. Yeah, two other qualifiers I like to give is that, again, I always like to just add that little asterisk of stepping out of the binary of black and white hair, of curly and straight hair, and all those that split in that binary. Because I have had Caucasian people sit down in my chair with 3C hair, and I have had people of all different walks of life sit down in my chair with pin straight hair. So I
Yep.
think that's the biggest takeaway that we get to see behind the scenes, that those who don't know about this industry and this type of work that will make snap judgments or have assumptions, they are thinking in that binary. But then
Yeah.
behind the chair, we actually have been like, no, if you put your hands in a lot of people's hair from all over the world or all over the country, you will quickly find out that those rules that you put on it, that binary, doesn't actually
Aren't.
exist. It's not actually
Right.
true. And you've got fine hair and coarse hair and all kinds of different. So I think that's very important. And then also just wanting to step into this space and know a lot more about how to heal or connect that divide while also respecting what is culturally affirming and spaces that we don't need to connect to. If that is
Sure.
just something that's particular to whatever grouping is particular to, we respect that. So I think that's really important.
Well, I also too do not talk in types of hair texture. I try to give all the clients, 1A all the way
Good.
down. It's like a printout of it.
Yeah,
And I ask it and I send it to them. What do you think your hair
I
texture
love
is?
that. I always
So that
try,
we're not
yeah.
even talking about, because you're
Race,
right. I
genetics,
mean,
right.
I've seen it all.
I always
So
like to try and direct the conversation to texture and
yeah,
not your genetics because
yes.
that's so
Texture and
far.
density.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, let's work on that in our spare time. Like, we have a lot of that. We should put together a little booklet just about texture and tools and terminology. We should do that
Yes,
in our
ma'am.
spare time. So, next thing I want to ask you about is what person or people or influence as you've gone on this journey into the lock world do you feel has had the most influence on you?
People specifically,
Yeah, you don't have
like
to
name
name names.
glass.
You don't
So
have to
I will
name
be
names.
100% honest. There have been four people since the
Oh, she's
beginning.
ready with a list.
Oh, actually five. No, there is a list.
Yeah.
And everybody's my friends, but these five people always answered my questions, got back to me, and was always super pumped. It was you, Liz Kidder, Rolly,
Yeah.
Daily Dreads, and Marlena
I
Roxhair.
love her so much. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh, I
She's
do
so
too.
cool.
She is so
I
cool.
love her. And shout out to Liz for being so open because I know they have no time, but they're
Absolutely.
still always
And
helpful.
honestly, it took me forever to talk to him because I'm like, oh, and who am I? But once I got over that, they were very kind and I've learned a lot.
So
So
helpful. So
I feel like
helpful.
I got lucky
Yeah.
that people just were there to answer the questions when they did because I'm here.
That's so cool. And there's something to be said for showing up and asking the questions too, because some people
Yeah.
never will, or maybe they'll be too nervous, or maybe I don't know. And I'll say this piece, I might get canceled for saying this, I don't know. Um, when you are the person answering the questions, there's also a certain energy that you're looking for, because a lot of us get
Right.
questions all the time from people. And sometimes I'll get those questions and be like, it don't feel right. And so I think approach is everything. And if you are showing up
Yeah.
and you're like an authentic person and you're really jumping in there and you're really putting yourself out there, and you can see that, hey, this person is doing that work and really showing up authentically, we're usually pretty happy to answer questions. And then I'm
I
sure that
appreciate
you're
it.
experiencing that now as well, that you're into that questions on your own
Yes.
as well.
Which I still pinch myself. I'm like, are these people really asking?
Let's see a different take on the same thing, but what people do you look up to the most in the industry right now? Who are you looking at the most that you're like, oh, I want to do that?
I honestly do not spend, one thing you learn is I don't spend a ton on social media.
Good for you.
So I follow the same people because I feel like I follow the people who are on the most current stuff that I'm interested in doing, at least, anyways, that have the vision and aligned thought process as I
Mm-hmm.
do. Yeah, the same people.
Yeah,
I
that's
keep
cool.
my circle really small. All artists, I'll scroll, but not anybody specific. All artists inspire me.
Okay, I like that.
So
That's how I
I
am
just
too
look
on
for
social media
inspiration.
now. I've actually done a lot of like unfollowing of dreadlock artists. I moved my feed and my algorithm to be like much more like art focused. Whether it's like
Yes.
someone who's amazing at like skateboarding or
Yeah.
embroidery, I just inspiration is more what I'm going for than,
Yeah.
oh, what's everybody doing? Like that almost, I'm
Yeah.
almost allergic to that now. And I've definitely
No.
taken that note from you 100%, because I would check in with you
Oh.
and you'd be like, yeah, I'm not looking at that stuff. And I'd be like, she's not looking at that stuff. I shouldn't be looking at that stuff. So that's definitely a note off of your desk for sure.
Thank you.
So, if you don't mind, I'd like to pivot over to the opposite side of that and say, can you speak about some of the negative experiences that you've had in the lock industry? You don't have to name names, you don't have to be specific, but what bumps in the road have you hit that you've been like, ah? And the reason I'm asking you that is not to focus on negativity, but because I feel like that's the portion that often is unspoken of. And I feel like there's a lot of people that suffer through a lot of things in the lock industry silently that they don't talk about. And I cannot tell you how many times that I've talked about a negative experience or opened up about something, not even in a specific way, even in a general way, or a feeling that I've had, and someone has gone, oh my God, me too. And I just feel like until those things are brought into the light a little bit, we're gonna think, each person's gonna think, maybe I'm the only one experiencing that. So what kind of the
Right.
road or frustrations or negative experiences have you come across?
I mean, I think that when you're getting started, there is a certain level of gatekeeping,
For
and
sure.
trying to get everything that you need to know because there is no school. So it's not like buy this from there
Yeah.
and use this and that. I guess that would kind of be the thing that I would say on that. Like I said, I'm really fortunate that I listen to other people and their experiences and may proceed with hesitation with somebody, but I have not really had any
Good.
negative experiences. I feel like I've been really fortunate. And yeah,
I think that's probably because you have such a balanced approach to people, whether it's peers or colleagues or anything like that. I think you really stay grounded. So I think that has lent to you not having as many bad experiences.
I hope so. And also I am for uncomfortable conversations.
Mm,
There have been situations that maybe I felt like I needed to stick up for somebody else.
mm,
And then the other person, the person that I'm not sticking up for comes in and be like and says, "This is my side of the story." And it's
mhm.
okay, I hear your point
Yeah.
too, but your approach still was bad. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like this still just does not look good.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the conversation. Not that I need to understand, but I want everybody to look their best. I want everybody
Right.
to look and do their best, and we're not doing that fighting.
You're so nice. I think that's so wonderful. I love it so much. But you would say early on you did definitely hit that wall, that brick wall of the gatekeeping.
Oh gosh, yeah. I was like, can I just get a quick video? And it would be like, nothing. Or where do you buy this hair? Nothing. Where do you buy human? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like I said, my core people,
Yeah.
I dialed it in real quick. Those people were always the people that answered my questions.
That's so cool.
So maybe that's another reason why I didn't have bad
I think
experiences. I
so.
don't
I
know.
think that you were able to real quick and figure that out
Maybe.
and have perception. Yeah, I think that's good. One of the things that's interesting to just speak behind the scenes is, and some people might come at me for this, but there is a shift from when you're starting out and you're hitting this brick wall of gatekeeping, and then there's this moment where you hop on the other side of that wall. And then you have people coming at you trying to get all this, I don't know, free information or free education or whatever, which is out there and wonderful. And then you feel like you're like on the other side of that wall. Then you're stuck in these situations that you were once on the other side of, being like, okay, do I hand this over? What is this person's intentions? What's their experience? Because one of the biggest risks in that, just from the other side of that wall, is that many times I have given information or advice and then watched it be misused.
Right.
And then my name put on it. And I was like, no.
Yep.
So it's just this weird experience that, and I'm saying that not to say that gatekeeping is okay and not to affirm that, but to say just give it time, because you may hit that gatekeeping wall, but there's another side to it. And they're to it, and finding your people and, you know, seeking education. Again, shout out to Nicole and Liz for providing education opportunities for at least something, people to meet each other and network and get that, because they're not really out there.
Right.
Okay, zooming back out a little bit, because I feel like we've really zoomed into some specifics right there. What do you, and this is a big question, what do you feel like is going right in the dreadlock world right now? And what do you feel like is going wrong? I know that's like the biggest question of all time.
Yeah, that is. So, from what I can see, it's just the same things that we've kind of hit on. You
Right.
know, I hope that people continue learning and that we all kind of vibe to find new creations and new artistry within all of this. Yeah, that's a
I
hard
feel like
one.
you're summing up what's wrong and what's right at the same time, because you're looking for more collaboration. So a lack of collaboration would be an issue, but more
Yeah.
collaboration would be the solution.
Yeah,
That's, see,
I agree.
I just like the way that you think about things. It's wonderful. Okay, so pivoting over to all of us as locticians right now, we are not only required to work in this weird, amorphous, blobby world that has no education and definition, but also then there is huge pressure in this industry, I think even more than others. And this is something I've been dwelling on a lot in the past few weeks, just thinking about all these topics, is that there is more pressure to be a content creator on social media, a lot of other industries. The only other one that I find similar, where it's like an amorphous job with huge pressure on social media creation, is literally like visual art. Like tattoo artists know what the deal is, hairstylists know what the deal is, and you can join this river, this larger river of that industry, but that's not the way it is for locticians right now. So how have you found social media to be for you? Have you found it easy, difficult? What does that look like for you in your work?
Well, I am of the older generation in this industry, probably. So I wasn't even on socials, period, for 7 years prior to doing dreadlocks.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
learning all of these things was extremely overwhelming for me. And we're not of the generation of feeling comfortable. So for me, it's a lot of pressure. And I like everything's balanced for me. So I can easily look at something and say, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes. You know, I have a timer on my phone and we're done. You know what I mean? If I want to check in on friends but work, I set a timer. And whatever I
Really?
accomplish, great. If not, I don't get it done, or my video looks a little funny, or it may not be perfectly edited, but I'm getting something out there. I guess the more carefree attitude, because I'm not buttoned up and you're going to see what you get when you sit in my chair. So you might see a little bit of it prior to.
How do you feel like you arrived at that type of discipline and boundaries around social media?
Well, because I get super stressed and over. I mean, I'm neurodivergent, I have ADHD, so I can only take so much.
Mm,
And then it becomes unproductive. I'm just going to keep scrolling, not
okay.
comprehending or retaining much. So I know from the just me, that's the easiest way to do
So
stuff.
that's born out of you just knowing yourself.
Work life
Yeah.
balance. I mean, it's just life, and that's what I know I can do, and still be the person that I want to be outside of being a
Mm,
dreadlock
yeah.
artist.
How do you find those tips and tricks and lifestyle work-life balance? Which ones do you implement to keep that work-life balance? Because I think there's a lot of people specifically in the dreadlock industry that struggle with that a lot. They are stuck on their socials all the time trying to stay in this rat race. What are more of your boundaries that you do? You said you give yourself like 30 minutes and then you're done. What other strategies do you use to keep yourself in that work-life balance?
I mean, definitely I'm not perfect, but it's the timer on the phone every day.
Okay.
Every single social, you can put a self timer on it and then it turns it off, or you have to say, yes, I want to be on it longer. I feel like in my life, I am a wife and I am a mom and I'm a dreadlock artist. And
Mm,
if I can accomplish all three of those, great. But if one has to go or one has to kind of take a little bit
mhm,
out of it, it's going to be dreadlock artist because the other two are so important. So, with being in the medical field,
mm.
there was no balance.
No balance.
With
Yeah.
removing that and realizing, it's just life, getting older, finding what's important to you.
Mm.
And that's what's important to me. I love doing the dreadlocking and I love everything that comes with it. But if something has to have the less going on, it'll be there.
I wish so badly that I would have had that wisdom so many years ago. My life would be, I don't know, so much better and different. But yeah, I've definitely adopted that principle now myself a lot more, but I didn't for years. And it took a huge toll on my mental health and my physical health. It took a huge toll on my
Yes.
family because, again, this chapter of history, when all of this is up and coming and we're very niche and you get on the top of that pile really quick, ooh, you have to keep that up every day. Like that game
Yep.
with the balloon where you can't let it touch the floor. Social media
Yep.
definitely feels like that. And laying that down, which I'm not saying is like this gracious, like I realized that and had this clarity
Sure.
and then laid it down. No, this is like full trial and error, like falling on my face so many times and realizing just those priorities, like you said, and just being like, this is taking away from me as a parent. This is, but
Yeah.
then still, I still want to uphold what I'm doing and finding what that is for
Sure.
each person, I think is so critical and so difficult. And you just seem to do that so naturally.
Oh.
You learned that when you were in the medical field from a lack of work life balance.
Oh, absolutely. I
Mm,
knew once I left the normal workforce,
yeah.
whatever that looks like, I wasn't the mom that I wanted to be. I was
Mm,
totally drained. It's self care for me.
yeah.
Honestly, the boundaries that I've created in my life are self care for me so I can show up and be the
Mm,
best mom, wife, dreadlock
mm,
artist, and friend to everybody else around me. Otherwise, I'm not really worth much. I'm not who I want to be.
mm. I love that. I'm so glad that you got that before entering this industry because it's so
Me too.
integral. And I feel like everyone just has to arrive at that point themselves. And I don't want to send myself into a depression, but I wonder how many moments I was stuck on my phone trying to keep up with what was
That's
just,
why you made the adjustment, so you're good now. Like
yeah,
it's when you don't make those adjustments and realize the offness.
yeah, absolutely.
But now you are.
Yeah.
So
And now
you're
I
getting
have
all the
people message
time.
me all the time. They're like, "Are you okay?" Like you, and I'm like,
Right.
"I'm
There's something wrong with you and
better
you're like,
than
"No, I'm
ever.
thriving."
I'm fantastic." So that's interesting. We could talk so much more about that. What trends or styles are you seeing in the industry right now that you are just smitten with, that you're like in love with, that you want to add to your service, that you want to learn more about?
Well, I definitely like all the multi-textural looks
I
with
know.
all the different textures that you can do and not just go one here or one there.
Yeah.
And I like the ability to add color with that. I feel like when I first got into it, people were coloring their locks a lot.
Mm,
And I feel like I just think the creators of all the add-ins are getting with the
mm.
feathers, with the bling blings, with
So you
everything.
like
I
the
love all of
decor.
it.
That's fun.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting that I found, at least in my little corner of the world, is I've seen a big dip in decor, which is interesting. I feel like many years ago, decor was all the rage. It was all about filler and wraps and beads and all this stuff. And I feel like that's really on a downslope right now. And I've seen it go up and down over the years, but this recent I don't know what this chapter is in dreads right now, and someone else disagree with me, please. If you feel differently, I feel a big dip in decor right now, and I find that
I think
interesting.
that too might be where you live because I'm underserved. So a lot of people
Mm,
don't even know what a woolly feels like. I have
okay.
all the things just for people even like they've never even seen a dread beat
They're like,
before.
what are you?
I know the removable hair wraps, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so
Interesting.
cool. So maybe it's area dependent because
Yeah.
I'm just teaching you can have all these things.
Okay. And my people are like, that is old news.
Yeah.
Stop trying to show
I'm
me
on to
that.
the next
I'm
thing.
like, you mean you don't want these beads? Oh, that is so interesting. I love the demographic differences in all the places that we work. Okay, here's one. What is one thing that you wish clients knew if you're talking to all clients ever before they take on a dread journey? What is the one thing that you'll be like, this is the thing you need to know?
That it takes at least 2 years for them to mature, and it will not look anywhere near my hair or your inspo for 2 years
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
Shit.
And that's so dependent also on what method they go through
Well,
because,
I'm only
yeah,
doing crochet,
right.
so I can say,
Uh,
let's just have patience,
and I
please.
always say that when people approach me about natural length. When they want natural length, I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm all for it. I love a natural length journey, but it's going to take you, like you said, 1, 2 years
yeah,
to get where you really want to be. Again, the
yep.
guy I was working on this morning, when he first started, he wanted to do natural length journey and started out with these little spindly dreads. And I was like, trust me, man, it's going to be fine. And then here we are 2 years later. And I was like, can you believe your hair right now? And he was like, no. He's like, I trusted you when you told it'll get there. But looking back, it's just, but you can fake and fudge some of that and fast forward them to the end result if you're using extensions.
Right.
But still, you can't speed up the process. I already asked you
That
that.
you
Let's
cannot.
see. What would be next for you in your personal life and in your work life? Like, I always like to know the human a little bit more behind the loctician. So, what are you working towards personally in your life, and what are you working towards professionally? That's like the next plateau for you.
So I'm just going to continue doing me in my personal life, keeping that work-life balance, doing my mom life. I only work a couple days a week
I
and I
know, me
pack my
too.
days
It's
in a
nice.
lot so I can be a mom.
Yeah,
So
same.
I think keep thriving over there. And then this is super silly and you're going to laugh. I want to be like the dreadlock star of St. Louis
Hell yeah.
in the
I
sense,
love that.
hey, if I love music, I love concerts. If
Right.
my friends are in town and you need your hair done, help you get
Okay, so
dread.
you're trying to do dreads for the music guests that come through the big city. Okay.
Hey, I every time I go to a concert, I'm like, you need me. We need to get your
Start
hair done on
tagging people,
tour.
send people messages.
You need my hair on tour.
Just cold DM them, I swear to you. You'll be so shocked.
Oh my gosh. But it would be cool to like be that person in town, you know what I mean?
That
Because
would be
we do,
cool.
that's my life and that is my outside life and my professional life
Like coming
combining into
together.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I envy there's girls out there doing festivals and all. I think that's so fun.
Yeah.
And I would like to do it. And I'm probably going to the concert anyway, so just
I
let me
know.
come
And then
early.
sometimes you can get like a free ticket if you're a vendor, which is really cool.
Yes.
I've had an interesting experience because I started out in the festival industry. I literally quit my job to go do dreads at festivals. And all the same people
Oh,
in my
dang.
life were like, what? And nobody was doing that. And I was literally doing it in a tent at festivals all over the place. And now I'd love to break back into that, but I just feel old and tired.
Now the festivals, I did a
It's a lot
couple,
of
and
work.
I learned that was not my jam.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
When you don't have running showers and all of that, I'm good.
The idea of grabbing like a wet, sweaty dress
No, thank you. I'm good.
just
I'm so
sounds
good.
awful.
I've learned that one the hard way. See, I've been trying all the
Yeah, you
things, and
jump in both feet and then
yeah,
you're like, no, thank you.
politely, I'm good.
Oh, shoot. Okay, what changes have you made to your dreads personally and why? Because
Well,
you've had lots of
when
different
I
stuff.
started, I know. When I started, I thought, man, I'm gonna be able to do this with no extensions. It was a
You were
pandemic. We're
committed to
watching
that. I will
budget,
say you were really committed to that.
right? I was. And then 9 months, 6 to 9 months hit, and it was like they were up here.
Yeah.
Couldn't put my hair barely back in a ponytail. And I'm like, this is awful. And at that point, I was like, maybe I might start doing dreadlocks. So I might as well see if I can do them. And so I put extensions in my own hair and I wore those for, I think I just took them out like
Yeah.
6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I was going to do a little video on this. I do feel like my ends are this long and
They're
full because they
nice.
were in
Like
extensions.
protected.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah.
I agree.
So if people say, does it protect? Obviously, it has to a little
Mm,
bit because my ends would not be looking like that.
I know. Your dreads are getting
So
so epic.
I know, I love them.
I
Thank
feel
you.
like so my last question is more personal, but it's based on my favorite thing about you that I'm always trying to like study and emulate. That I'm always like, how does she do that? What is behind what vitamin are you taking that makes you so positive? Because I feel like the marker that everyone sees about you, if they actually take the time to interact with you and be your friend or anything like that, is just this endless fountain of positivity. What experiences in your life have led you to having that? Where did you get what store did you buy that at? Where are you
Oh, I
replenishing
wish
your stock of positivity?
honestly, like I said, the limited social media, the close knit group of people that I'm constantly trusting. My husband is my best friend. I surround myself fully with people that I trust, people that I look up to. Don't scroll social media. I don't watch the news. Like
It's good.
I live a
Good.
very simple-ish life. I stand up for what I believe in, maybe differently than what other people do, but I am here.
Yeah.
And I think I live life every day.
Yeah.
I don't live behind the screen. I'm not that girl at a
Like
concert
real
with my
life.
phone
Right.
up watching it through the, yeah. So I think if you approach every single day with positivity and that nothing is going to get you down, it's going to take something big if you acknowledge
Mm.
that every day. Like I have things to be thankful for. I'm thankful for my family, my clients, my friends. How can you really have a bad day? You
Yeah.
know, if something bad comes in, like if you have that mindset, you can overcome things.
Mm.
And if you can't by yourself, you can with what you've surrounded
Mm.
yourself with. And I have a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah.
A lot to be thankful for. And when you deal with end of life for over 10 years, you really are shown
It's
that
huge.
110%. And all these small things, like why do I not get into a lot of it? Because I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
That's not the energy that I want to share or give. I want to be the positive light. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I try to live as I speak and
Mm-hmm.
speak as I live
Yeah.
day by day, the best that I can.
I love that.
And I do have a good cry every day.
Okay, good. That's good to know that Bree has cry moments. That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I think crying is therapeutic, to be quite
Oh, it's
honest
so
with
good for
you.
you. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, because you were saying earlier that I've been so helpful to you or so and so has been so helpful to you, and I don't think you realize how many cues I take from you. I'll talk to you about something or
Thanks.
vent to you about something, and I'm like, she handled that so good. You know what I mean? And so I
Thank
I have
you.
so many little like your voice in my head, so many moments where I'm like, how could you be cranky right now? You know what I mean? Because my default is pretty cranky. So
Yeah, I hear you.
so
And I
I've
mean, it
taken a
is a
lot.
struggle. There's a level of half, there's certain spectrums of it, but
Yeah.
you got to be. The world's too sad to not be.
Yeah. Seriously. That's fantastic. So, lastly, tell everyone where they can find you, how they can get a hold of you. Where do they send a carrier pigeon to get in for your lock services? Where do they find you on socials?
So all over socials, the same name on both Facebook and Instagram, which is BGood Dreads. And I have an email. All my information is basically on Instagram. I use it the
Okay.
most. And yeah, if you're ever in St. Louis, you don't have to be, a concert
If
star
you
if
have
your
a
friend's
band.
pulling through. Yeah. I mean, if your friend pulling through too, just give me a shout.
Yeah,
I'm around and would love to help anybody.
that's awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Be Good Dreads
You're
from
welcome.
St. Charles, Missouri. So many questions. I feel like we need 5 episodes to deep dive on that stuff even more. But talking with you is so much fun, and I'm so happy to have you as a friend in the lock industry because you are just a
Same. I
ray of
appreciate you.
sunshine all the time. And I'm sure
Yeah.
everyone will see that listens to this. So I will talk to you
Awesome.
soon.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I'll
Yes.
talk to you later.
Bye.